A bit of backstory: I am from Puerto Rico, and my wife is from suburban Kansas City. I moved to New York City in 1984, and she moved here at 18 for college and fell in love with the city. We actually met at a bar and had a one-night stand, and she got pregnant. At first, we wanted her to get an abortion, but we kind of fell in love at the first one-night stand and got married when our son was 3 months old. We are very, very different people. I am from the South Bronx and grew up extremely rough. I got into fights, have gotten stabbed, have gotten shot at. Not a great upbringing. I wasn't the worst kid, but my friends were truly bad people, and I mostly got out of that lifestyle by the time I met her. So basically, we've raised our son and have had our ups and downs, but we are both successful at our jobs and whatnot. But in the past year or two, her attitude towards certain things has changed. Here's just a list of what I'm talking about. She refuses to eat gluten. This should give you a staple of the stereotype she fits into now. She is now 100% vegan and gets extremely mad when we eat meat in the house. She goes to yoga 3 times a week and cries when we don't want to go with her. She suddenly doesn't like movies with violence, drugs, or partying. She gets extremely protective of our son about this. She doesn't let our son hang out with his friends sometimes because the friends are too rowdy and come from uncultured families. She doesn't let our son bike around the neighborhood with his friends at all. She needs to constantly be with him when he is hanging out. She literally took his iPod and changed the music to what she considers good music. This consists of Justin Timberlake and Mumford & Sons, Macklemore, Taylor Swift type stuff mostly. Our son liked electronic dance music and metal a lot. This was one of the worst things she did, in my opinion. She thinks that I am too masculine in the way I act and constantly tries to correct the way I act, saying I have toxic masculinity in me. She uses this near constantly when I tell her I don't like how she babies our son. She calls the cops on basically any crime she sees, including one time when we walked by a house party and she called the cops because underage drinking was happening and she wants to keep her community safe. One time she also called the cops because a few Spanish teens were playing soccer in the street, and she just assumed they were up to no good. That made me insanely upset. Honestly, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This has been her for the past 2 to 3 years, and we have gotten into near constant arguments about it. I tell her she is too sensitive about nearly everything, and then she goes off on rants and tries to show me all these weird articles about how what I am doing is gaslighting her. She is also trying really, really hard to act young. Like, she goes to indie shows in Washington filled with 22-year-old hipsters and tries to chat people up to make friends. Then, when she gets rejected or something like that from those indie circles, she comes home, cries in my arms, and is depressed for days. She wants so badly to be part of that crowd. She seems to have anxiety and depression issues. I do honestly feel bad for her. She keeps up this insane persona. She describes herself as a modern-day hippie. She spends all her time checking out new cafes and brunch spots with her friends. I know how this started. She got a job at this new office filled with young yuppies. Basically, right after that, she changed into this, I think, to keep up with her coworkers, but it clearly turned into something much more devastating and damaging to her self-esteem than that. I just want her to be herself, not this crazy person trying to perfect everything around her to fit her worldview. Interestingly enough, if you have ever seen S3E1 of Black Mirror, she reminds me insanely of the main character of that episode, but she is more willing to disrupt everything around her to fit what she wants, even if it inconveniences others. But this is all recent. She was never like this 4 years ago. She was just a regular working woman who liked to relax and hang out and didn't take much seriously like she does now. We used to get drunk at dive bars together, and we used to party a bit. It all hit a bad point about a week ago when my son, who has also been in conflict with her nearly constantly, got into a major argument with her. The argument was over whether he could hang out with his friends who were outside, and she said no because there were too many of them and she thought it was bad to hang out in such large groups. This is the type of SHT she thinks about. I know she really didn't want him out there because the kids were mostly black and Spanish, but he is half Puerto Rican. He got so mad he took dishes and began shattering them on the ground. Then he left and didn't come back for 5 hours while my wife hysterically cried and called the cops to find him. Since then, he has not been allowed to leave the house, and my wife has cried nightly for losing our son. She has become extra horrible towards me and my son. She thinks I am on his side simply because I tried to defend him and said she was overreacting. But every time I say she is overreacting, she has a breakdown and says I'm just doing what men do to women. I don't even know what to do anymore. I know that this isn't her. I know that she has developed some serious mental problems in the past 2 to 3 years. I know this isn't normal for her. I don't want to divorce her, but I'm not sure if I can handle this any longer. She has broken down. She is in bed crying nearly all day. She will sometimes go off yelling at me that I am the epitome of toxic masculinity and then, an hour later, be crying in my arms, saying she loves me more than anything. Is this some type of personality disorder? Does she need therapy? What can I say to make her calm down? I was thinking about writing a heartfelt letter about the way she has been acting. That way, she can't interrupt me like she usually does with the screaming. I don't want to argue. I just want to make my point and have her respond. But I don't want to seem as if I disapprove of her entire lifestyle and everything she has done. What the hell do I do? I feel so passive in this situation. And she goes nuts when she sees me acting completely normal while she is crying, yelling, or whatnot, as if every time she is acting crazy, I have to act crazy too about whatever she is crazy about at the moment. What the fuck do? I do not want a divorce, I want to help her. We both still very much love each other despite this madness. Update 1. I figured I would update this with all the craziness that has happened. My wife had an absolute breakdown with both me and my son, and she basically ran away and got drunk at a bar, then came back and threatened to kill herself with pills. I called the police, they came, and by the time they came, she was just crying on the couch, and the cops left. I didn't really know what to do, my son was crying and everything. I told her she had to go to a mental hospital or see a doctor as soon as possible, and she then got even more mad at me, and then she went upstairs and just started screaming like an insane person. She did end up going to the doctor, who diagnosed her with B12 deficiency at a severe level. Just like you guys said. She has been taking pills, and I can't even describe what has changed in her. She went from an absolute downward spiral into madness and controlling everything to a much more clear-minded, calm person. She sometimes feels weird about admitting just how wrong she was about certain things, and she said she never realized how blind she was to how horrible she was treating the people around her. She said her anxiety over things would sometimes spike through the roof, and she relied on blogs she read on the internet to help control her life. I am glad she has been able to admit these things. I honestly feel like some of it wasn't entirely B12 deficiency, though. Or at least she might be retracting a lot of the stuff she did and said that had nothing to do with the deficiency. Like her going vegan was a symptom of the original problem, not like veganism is bad, she was desperate to fit in with the young yuppie crowd. I'm not sure if she is purposely blaming all of her old weird problems on B12 deficiency, but that weird stuff started before she went vegan, so I think there were still some insecurity problems there. I'm just glad she has spent the last 2 weeks realizing how problematic she has been. She said she was in a trance, where she thought the entire world was against her, and the things she read on the internet confirmed that there was some global conspiracy, as she describes it, to make her a dependent person or some shit like that. I'm just so glad she's back. So glad. I broke up with my fiancée because she told me she can give me the best bang of my life, but doesn't want to. Ida? I 27M, was together with my ex-fiancée, 27F, for 3 years. We had overall good relationship, but I would say the problematic part was the intimacy. She was not into trying out new things and was very selfish in bed. I went above and beyond to pleasure her while she did not reciprocate. I had many discussions about it with her, but all she said was that's how I am. Well, I came to learn it was just how she was with me. I had a talk with her about it and asked if she was forced to do non-vanilla things in her past relationships. She told me no and she actually liked these. I asked her if there is a problem from my side and if there are things I can do better to make her more passionate. She told me there is no problem. I asked her why she does not put any effort in bed then. She told me I can rock your world but I just do not want to. I understood this issue will not be resolved in the future either and I do not want to settle for that kind of thing. I cannot force her to do something she does not want to, so we are just incompatible in the end. I told her it's over and she should pack things or to leave the house. She was surprised for some reason and tried to convince me. She tried to have families convince me but I was firm on my decision. She left the house today and has been texting me nonstop. Ada here?